You may think anger begins the moment you feel it, but biologically, it starts far earlier. At 0 seconds, something triggers your system, a disrespectful tone, an insult, a memory, or a sudden frustration. Your senses capture the event instantly, sending electrical signals racing toward your brain at incredible speed. Before you consciously register anything, these signals arrive at the thalamus, the brain's sensory switchboard. Here, the first question is asked, is this a threat? If the answer is even slightly yes, the thalamus immediately alerts a deeper, more primitive structure, the amygdala, the alarm center of your brain. At 0.1 seconds, the amygdala explodes into action. It doesn't think, compare, or analyze. It reacts. Millions of neurons fire at once, releasing glutamate and amplifying the alarm. Whether the situation is truly dangerous or just annoying, the amygdala treats it like survival. It sends 2 rapid-fire signals, one to activate the hypothalamus, your fight-or-flight command center, and another to suppress your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for logic and self-control. In simple terms, your emotional brain takes charge, and your thinking brain is pushed aside. By 0.15 seconds, the hypothalamus takes control. It pulls a biochemical lever and activates the HPA axis, the body's emergency system. Hormonal signals begin firing, CRH to the pituitary gland, ACTH to the adrenal glands. This chain reaction is ancient, automatic, and unstoppable. Your body is preparing for conflict long before you're even aware of it. At 0.2 seconds, the adrenal glands release a surge of adrenaline into your bloodstream. The transformation is instant. Your heart rate spikes. Your breathing sharpens. Blood flow shifts from your stomach to your arms and legs. Your pupils dilate, sharpening your vision. Your muscles tighten, ready for action. Your brain shifts into survival mode. And beneath it all, your prefrontal cortex, the logical part of your mind, begins to dim. At 0.25 seconds, your prefrontal cortex is officially overridden. The amygdala has instructed your brain to disable rational thinking. Empathy, patience, and logic temporarily go offline. Your brainwaves shift, your impulse control drops, and your emotional reactions surge. It's not that you lose control when you get angry. The truth is that your brain removed your control before you even noticed. Finally, at 0.3 seconds, you feel it. The heat rising in your chest, your jaw tightening, your breathing shifting, your heart pounding, your body stiffening as emotion takes over. But what you feel now is simply the result of a biochemical storm that already swept through your brain and body. Anger isn't just an emotion. It is a full biological takeover that activates faster than thought. In these first 0.3 seconds, your amygdala fired, your hypothalamus activated, adrenaline flooded your system, your muscles primed for action, your vision sharpened, and your logical brain dimmed. The storm has only begun. The next seconds and minutes will determine how your body, mind, and hormones continue to react. At the exact moment you first feel anger, around 0.3 seconds, the real storm is only beginning. What you sense as heat, tension, or irritation is actually the surface of massive biological machinery operating underneath. Deep inside your brain, the amygdala continues firing like a raging fire alarm. Every signal it sends spreads outward into multiple networks at once, forcing your entire system to react. This is no longer a small emotional disturbance. This is a full-body survival protocol. By 0.4 seconds, the hypothalamus has already sent repeated commands to strengthen the fight or flight response. Your sympathetic nervous system is fully awake. Electrical impulses rush down your spinal cord toward your organs. It's as if your brain is telling every cell, prepare for conflict, prepare for danger. Your breathing subtly shifts shorter, sharper, even before you consciously notice. Your blood vessels in the skin begin to constrict to direct more blood toward your muscles and heart because your body assumes you might need to strike, push, defend, or escape. At 0.5 seconds, tiny chemical messengers are racing across your brain. Noradrenaline floods the limbic system, intensifying emotional reactions. Your internal world becomes louder. Colors seem sharper, noises feel more irritating, and small movements around you catch your attention immediately. This is hypervigilance. Your brain is scanning for additional threats, even if none exist. What you experience as sudden irritation is actually your brain going into protection mode. By 1 second, your heart is beating faster, pushing oxygen and glucose toward your arms and legs. Your digestive system slows down. A meal you ate earlier suddenly stops mattering. Your body temporarily shuts down processes like digestion, reproduction, and long-term planning, because energy must be conserved for survival. This is why anger sometimes makes your stomach feel tight or heavy. It's not emotion, it's biology. Between 1 and 2 seconds, your muscles prepare for action. Blood vessels inside them open wider, delivering oxygen faster. Your fists may clench slightly. Your jaw tightens. Your neck and shoulder muscles stiffen. This tension is not psychological, it is mechanical. Your body is literally reinforcing itself to become stronger in case of confrontation. Even your posture changes. Your chest rises slightly, your shoulders pull back, and your spine stiffens, all without your permission. At 2 seconds, your brain begins shutting down empathy pathways, areas responsible for understanding others' feelings temporarily dim. This is why angry people often misinterpret intentions, assume the worst, or react harshly. It's not moral failure, it's how the brain prioritizes survival. Right now, your system is not interested in kindness, it is interested in defending you. Between 2 and 3 seconds, another hormone enters the scene, cortisol. Although it acts slower than adrenaline, cortisol stabilizes the fight or flight response. It increases blood sugar, boosts energy availability, and sharpens focus. But it also reduces your ability to think long-term. This is why anger makes you say things you regret. The words come out before logic can catch up. By 3 seconds, your senses are now fully weaponized. Sounds seem louder, movements seem faster, your brain's threat detection filter becomes overly sensitive, small things feel big. Minor annoyances feel serious. A slight disrespect feels like a direct attack. You're no longer reacting to reality, you're reacting to an amplified version created by your biology. Between 3 and 4 seconds, your prefrontal cortex, the CEO of your brain, is now mostly offline. This is why you feel impulsive, why controlling your voice becomes harder, why breathing becomes shallow, why your thoughts jump toward worst-case interpretations. You are not thinking, you are surviving. At 4 seconds, your nervous system begins preparing your voice to raise. Your vocal cords tighten. Your breathing rhythm shifts to support louder, sharper speech. Anger changes the acoustics of your voice before you even speak a word. Even silence becomes tense because your body is preparing for sound. By 5 seconds, the full anger response is in motion. Your brain, heart, lungs, muscles, hormones, and nervous system have formed a unified state, the anger physiology state. In this mode, your reactions are faster, louder, and stronger, but less controlled. At this point, you are no longer responding to the situation. You are responding to your internal biological storm. The first 5 seconds of anger are the most powerful because the amygdala dominates your brain. It shapes your perception, controls your body, and overrides your thinking. Understanding this single fact explains why anger feels overwhelming and why it can take over so quickly. You are not weak, you are human, and your brain is running a survival program thousands of years old. Part 2 ends here, but what happens next is even more intense. Now, the anger leaves the brain and begins affecting your bloodstream, your digestion, your immune system, your hormones, your decision-making, your voice, your memory, your long-term emotional health. The storm continues far beyond the first 5 seconds. At 5 seconds, your body is no longer preparing for anger, it is inside anger. The sympathetic nervous system is fully active, and your bloodstream is now carrying a surge of adrenaline, noradrenaline, and rapidly rising cortisol. What began as a mental spark in the amygdala has now become a full-body transformation. You are not just feeling anger, you are embodying it. Every heartbeat, every breath, every contraction of every muscle is now part of a coordinated biological defense system. Between 5 and 10 seconds, the body starts optimizing itself for physical action. Blood flow to the limbs increases dramatically. Your arms and legs receive more oxygen, more glucose, and more tension. Even if you are standing still or sitting, your muscles are preparing for movement, fast movement. This is why people pace when angry, hit their hands together, tap their feet, or clench their jaw. The body is searching for an outlet to release the rising internal pressure. By 10 seconds, your lungs are pulling in more air than usual. Breathing shifts from slow, controlled cycles to shorter, deeper inhales meant to oxygenate your body quickly. Your diaphragm tightens, your chest expands, and your shoulders lift slightly. This is not a conscious choice. This is your brain forcing your body to gather more oxygen because it thinks you may need to shout, argue, run, or fight. Even when anger is caused by a text message or a small frustration, your body reacts like you are facing a physical threat. At 15 seconds, your face begins to change without your awareness. Muscles around your eyes tighten, your eyebrows draw together, tiny muscles around your mouth contract, pushing your lips into a firmer or thinner shape. Your jaw may shift forward. The blood vessels in your face constrict, while those deeper in your skull expand. This is why people look different when they're angry. The expression is not emotional acting, it is neuromuscular programming. By 20 seconds, your digestive system shuts down even more aggressively. Stomach acid production slows. Enzymes pause. The blood that was supporting digestion has now been redirected to your muscles and heart. This is why anger often creates strange sensations in the stomach: heaviness, knots, tightness, discomfort. The system is simply saying, this is not a moment for food, this is a moment for survival. At 25 seconds, cortisol levels continue to rise. This hormone is slower than adrenaline, but its effects are deeper. Cortisol increases glucose in your bloodstream, providing more energy for muscle activity. It also shuts down long-term thinking, empathy, and creativity, because your brain wants to eliminate distractions. This is why angry people can't see reason, even when reason is obvious. The biology simply does not allow room for understanding. By 30 seconds, your hearing changes. You become more sensitive to sharp, loud, or threatening tones. The brain's auditory system becomes selective. It focuses on threats while ignoring soft sounds. This is why, during anger, you may mishear things, assume the worst, or take neutral statements as attacks. Your ears are tuned for danger. Between 30 and 40 seconds, your memory functions begin to distort. The amygdala starts recalling past experiences that resemble the current trigger. It plays old pains, old insults, old betrayals in your mind, not to torment you, but because evolution designed it that way. The brain thinks recalling past threats will help you survive the present one. But this makes anger stronger and harder to control. You're no longer reacting to the present, you're reacting to a lifetime of stored emotional injuries. By 40 seconds, your skin temperature may change. Some people feel hot blood vessels expand. Others go pale. Blood moves away from the skin to the muscles. Sweating may start, even in a cool room. Your hands may tremble slightly as adrenaline continues flowing. The entire system is vibrating at a higher frequency. At 45 seconds, your inner narrative collapses into a simple, emotionally charged loop. Complex thoughts disappear. Nuanced ideas vanish. All that remains is the core emotion and the core belief triggered by the situation. Usually something like, I am being disrespected. I am being attacked. I need to defend myself. I'm right. They're wrong. This tunnel vision is biological, not psychological. Your brain has temporarily shut the world down to focus on one perceived threat. By 50 seconds, your voice begins to shift internally. Even before you speak, your vocal cords tighten, the muscles around your throat constrict, and your breathing rhythm prepares for stronger, louder sound. This is why, even if you try to stay calm, your voice may shake or sound tense. Your biology is reshaping your sound. At 55 seconds, the fight or flight state is at its peak. Reaction time increases, strength increases. Aggression pathways in your brain are fully activated. Logical processing is at its lowest. Emotional amplification is at its highest. Your body has transformed into a defensive machine even if the situation doesn't require defense. Finally, at 60 seconds, 1 minute, you enter a long-lasting physiological state known as the acute anger response cycle. If the anger continues past this point, the hormones, tension, and neural patterns can last for minutes, hours, or even days. The first minute determines how deep the anger settles and how long it will linger. What started as a 0.3-second spark is now a biological storm running through your entire system. And the science becomes even more intense from here because next, anger begins reshaping your brain chemistry, decision-making pathways, stress hormones, and memory systems for the next several hours. At 1 minute after anger, the initial explosion inside your brain has begun to settle. But the biological aftershocks have only just begun. The amygdala is still active, the hypothalamus is still on alert, and cortisol continues to rise through your bloodstream. While adrenaline spikes and fades quickly, cortisol behaves differently, it builds slowly and lasts long. And this is where the most dangerous effects of anger begin. You no longer look enraged on the outside, but inside. Your body is entering a deeper phase of emotional and biological stress. By 2 minutes, your blood pressure is still elevated, and your heart has not returned to its normal rhythm. Your sympathetic nervous system, the fight or flight system, is still pushing your heart to beat harder, preparing you for danger even though no physical threat exists. Every beat pushes more cortisol and glucose through your arteries. You may not feel physically active, but your internal systems are burning energy at a rate your body never intended for daily life. At 3 minutes, your digestion is almost fully shut down. Blood flow that normally supports your stomach, intestines, and liver is still being redirected toward your muscles. If you had eaten recently, digestion stops mid-process. If your stomach felt knotted during anger, this is why. Your brain considers digestion a luxury. Survival always comes first. And anger tricks your body into believing you are in a survival scenario long after the trigger has ended. By 5 minutes, cortisol begins affecting your brain more deeply. It starts weakening your prefrontal cortex, the center of logic, empathy, patience, and decision-making. This means that even if the original cause of anger is gone, your ability to think clearly is still compromised. You might overreact to small things, misinterpret neutral comments, or replay the event again and again. This is not psychological overthinking, it is biological residue. Between 5 and 10 minutes, your immune system begins to change. Cortisol suppresses certain immune responses because the body believes it must conserve energy for survival. White blood cells decrease in activity. Inflammation chemicals begin to rise. This is why chronic anger weakens immunity and increases the risk of infections and long-term inflammation-based diseases. The body doesn't know the difference between emotional conflict and physical danger. It reacts the same way. At 10 minutes, your blood vessels experience more pressure than usual. The surge of blood flow from adrenaline fades, but leaves behind tension in the arterial walls. If anger episodes happen frequently, this repeated tightening and pressure slowly damages the lining of your blood vessels. This is the early root of hypertension, heart strain, and increased cardiovascular risk. One angry outburst isn't enough to cause damage, but repeated episodes change the physical structure of your circulatory system. Between 10 and 15 minutes, your muscles remain tense. Even if you sit quietly or lie down, the tension stays locked in your shoulders, neck, jaw, and back. This is because your nervous system has not switched back to parasympathetic mode, the calm and repair mode. Your muscles continue to act as if conflict is still possible. This leftover tension often turns into headaches, neck stiffness, jaw pain, or back soreness. By 20 minutes, your brain chemistry begins to shift. Serotonin, the chemical responsible for happiness and emotional stability, begins to drop. Dopamine, which surged earlier as your brain shifted into threat focus mode, now falls sharply. This creates a kind of emotional crash. You might feel exhausted, irritated, numb, or mentally dull. Many people think this is regret or guilt, but biologically it is simply the brain recalibrating after an energy surge. Between 20 and 30 minutes, your memory systems begin replaying the event. The amygdala stores emotional memories differently than normal memories. It records them in a highly charged, high-detail format. Cortisol helps this process. This is why angry moments become burned into your mind more strongly than peaceful moments. It's also why angry people relive old experiences easily. The brain literally prioritizes them for survival. At 30 minutes, the body begins attempting to stabilize. Your parasympathetic nervous system, the system responsible for calmness, repair, and recovery, tries to turn back on, but cortisol fights against it. If you are still thinking about the anger, if the situation is unresolved, or if you keep replaying the conflict, the parasympathetic system cannot fully activate. This means your internal tension continues, even if the anger appears to be fading. Between 30 and 45 minutes, your digestive system starts waking up again, but slowly. You may feel hungry suddenly, or you may feel nothing at all. Sometimes anger suppresses hunger for long periods, other times it triggers emotional eating. The reason is simple. Your body is trying to restock energy lost during the fight or flight response. Unfortunately, cortisol can make you crave sugary, fatty, or salty foods, survival foods, even when you aren't hungry. By 45 minutes, the hormonal shift is still ongoing. Cortisol remains elevated. Your blood sugar is still higher than normal. Your muscles still store extra glucose in anticipation of action. And your brain's emotional circuits are still more sensitive than usual. At this stage, small triggers can reignite anger easily. This is why people often stay irritated long after an argument ends. The body hasn't returned to baseline yet. At 1 full hour, the anger response begins to transition. Your body is no longer in high alert mode, but it is far from calm. The internal systems are still trying to restore balance. What you feel at this stage depends heavily on your personality, environment, and mental habits. Some people feel drained and quiet. Some feel restless and agitated. Some feel sad or guilty. Others continue replaying the situation for hours. Regardless of the emotional experience, the biology is the same. Your body is still unwinding the effects of the storm that began in 0.3 seconds. The hidden truth is that anger lasts much longer inside the body than it does in the mind. What seems like a short burst of emotion often becomes a long internal struggle with tension, stress hormones, and disrupted systems. The body pays a much heavier price than we realize. But the story isn't over. Because the next phase, the 1 hour to 24-hour aftermath, is where anger begins, shaping your long-term health, your memory, your relationships, and your emotional wiring. At 1 hour after anger, the visible signs may have faded, but inside your body, the tension is still alive. Your sympathetic nervous system hasn't fully shut down, and your parasympathetic nervous system, the system responsible for calming you, is only beginning to take control again. Your heart rate may look normal on the outside, yet the electrical patterns in your heart remain slightly elevated. Your blood vessels remain tighter than usual. Your muscles still carry traces of the earlier tension, and your brain is still processing what just happened. By 2 hours, cortisol is still circulating in your bloodstream. This hormone stays active far longer than adrenaline. It keeps your body on high alert even when the external threat is gone. Cortisol is supposed to help you survive danger, but when anger triggers it repeatedly, it becomes toxic. It slows down your immune system, increases inflammation, and affects how your brain forms memories. This is why your mind keeps replaying the argument or incident. The brain is trying to understand and prepare for future threats, even when none exist. At 3 hours, your digestive system is still off balance. The stress hormones have altered the acidity levels in your stomach and slowed down intestinal activity. Some people feel bloating, cramping, or discomfort. Others lose their appetite completely. And some feel sudden hunger not because they need calories, but because cortisol pushes the body toward comfort foods. Stress eating is a biological survival mechanism, not a lack of self-control. By 4 hours, inflammation begins to rise subtly throughout your body. Tiny blood vessels contract and expand irregularly. Immune cells shift into a defensive mode. Your brain's microglia, the immune cells of the central nervous system, become more active. This microscopic inflammation is invisible, but it affects everything from your mood to your energy levels. This is why many people feel tired, foggy, or emotionally unstable hours after anger. The brain is dealing with biochemical damage we don't consciously feel. At 5 hours, your emotional centers remain hypersensitive. The amygdala, which initiated the anger response earlier, becomes more reactive to triggers. Even small annoyances feel amplified. A minor sound, a slow message reply, or a simple inconvenience feels more irritating than usual. Your brain's threat detection circuits are still switched on. This is not emotional weakness, it is hormonal residue. Between 6 and 8 hours, your body enters what is known as the post-stress recovery window. If the anger was intense or lasted long, your body takes even longer to return to baseline. During this window, your blood sugar may fluctuate. You might feel sluggish or restless. Your muscles may still feel tight. You might sense a mental heaviness, or you may swing between calm and irritation. This is your biology resetting itself slowly. By 10 hours, the brain begins analyzing the event deeply. It reviews what happened, why it happened, and what it means. This process shapes your emotional memory. If the anger was connected to someone you care about, the brain may create stronger connections between the event and that person's identity. This is why hurtful words spoken in anger can echo for years. The brain categorizes emotional pain with remarkable precision. At 12 hours, your sleep cycle may be affected, even if the anger happened earlier in the day. Cortisol disrupts melatonin production, the hormone responsible for sleep. Even when you lie down, your brain may stay alert, your thoughts may feel louder, your breathing may remain shallow. The nervous system is not fully settled. The result is difficulty sleeping, restless sleep, or waking up at 3 a.m. with racing thoughts. By 16 hours, your digestive system tries to normalize, but cortisol may still be causing imbalances. Some people experience acidity, others feel increased hunger, some feel absolutely no hunger. Stress disrupts the natural rhythm of hunger hormones like ghrelin and leptin. This is why anger can affect your eating patterns long after the incident. At 20 hours, your brain is still filing emotional details. The prefrontal cortex tries to make sense of the event, but the amygdala's emotional imprint is often stronger. This creates an internal conflict between logic and emotion. You might understand the situation rationally, but emotionally you're still unsettled. This split creates the frustration many people feel. Hours after an argument, the mind is trying to move on, but the body is still holding the memory. At 24 hours, the anger response finally fades. Your nervous system returns to balance, cortisol levels drop, your immune system stabilizes, your heart rhythm normalizes, your digestive system regains its natural pace. But the truth is this: a single episode of anger can leave biological traces for a full day, and repeated anger can create long-term changes. Heightened sensitivity to stress, weakened immune system, increased inflammation, higher blood pressure, disrupted sleep are, more reactive amygdala, weaker prefrontal cortex, faster emotional triggers, slower emotional recovery. In simpler terms, anger rewires your brain to get angry more easily in the future. Every outburst strengthens the circuits that make the next one easier. Your brain learns anger unless you teach it calmness. The final truth is not meant to scare you, but to empower you. Anger is not a moment, it is a biological event that affects nearly every part of your body for 24 hours. And understanding it is the first step toward controlling it. What began in 0.3 seconds ends a full day later.